Oh, that's too big. After seeing this, the hair, they have no idea. I am Dre Fogue, and I'm the transfer.
Oh. Well, I got quarterback that's looking for a place to transfer. So he's going to be coming today. I want him in.
You want me right now?
Dre in there right now.
Come on. I'm gonna have to back it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Were you the punter?
No, I'm quarterback.
Oh, all right. What was y'all's record last year, though?
Play 8.
That's why I'm here, right?
What you mean?
I don't freaking care if I brought in an NFL quarterback. You guys have to compete. Come on up here, Jared.
Are you kidding me?
No clue.
As I do,
As always.
I'm missing out the cracks in the pavement and tutting my heel and
Not
strutting
from the
my
biggest
feet.
city. I get
Is there anything
claustrophobic
I can do
anyway.
for you, babe?
Sometimes I just
Is
need to
there
step back,
anyone I could
just
call?
breathe.
No, and thank
Taking
you,
my
please,
surroundings,
madame.
find where I'm comfortable.
Ain't lost, just
Cause I know I got love.
Round my hometown,
You want 5?
memories of
Well.
Off to a hot start.
Welcome in another edition of DYST Live. I'm your host, Mike Ortiz Jr. To my right, Greg Armstrong.
What up, what up? Back after 2 weeks.
Good call by Greg there.
Unmuting it.
The quick hand in there to get the unmuted. I don't know what we ever learned.
I don't know.
I think we actually just did. No, we did.
Like there's times where like it took us like it legit took us like 45 minutes to get this thing started when we first started.
Yep.
And then like we literally were just talking about how we got it down, like we're doing this right now, and we almost forget to take the mute button off.
Yep.
So it's still a work in progress, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We have all summer to do this.
We definitely have some time.
Yeah. It's gonna be a lull in sports in like 3 weeks, so I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. But without further ado, we have a big show today.
A lot of stuff.
We're going to break down the Warriors-Rockets game that happened last night. Obviously, a lot of shock there. We're going to preview the Celtics-Cavs game. We're going to give you our prediction of who we think is going to win the game tonight and why, so you can go bet it, make a little bit of money, which is always nice. You don't hear that in your normal sports show, making money as a viewer. We're going to obviously talk about the NFL, the National Anthem, that whole thing. We're going to hold our thoughts on that, you know. We'll get into that.
Yeah, it's...
And then we're going to do some NFL talk, and then we're going to recap it all up, and then end the show with, we're going to do a little hockey.
Game 7 predictions.
Yeah, we're in Game 7
not
predictions.
breaking down hockey because I still don't understand most of the game, but I like to watch it. So
Yeah, the playoff hockey is nice.
I'm not going to break down Caps Tampa for you, but I will tell you who I think is going to win. So
Yeah.
if that's not a tease, I don't know what is.
Same here. So, without further ado, Rockets Warriors.
Yeah, man. It seemed like it kind of seemed after game 3 when Steph just went total like scorched earth.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like, yeah, we're gonna get a good game in game 4, only because the Rockets, you know, call it what you want, the Rockets didn't care about the fourth quarter in that game. They didn't care, and it's not, you know, it's not bad that they didn't. Like, why would you? You're not going to waste energy in a game that you know you're not going to win when you know you're going to come right back in game 4. You might as well rest up. Might as well not use that energy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chris Paul last night played very well. It's just, I honestly think, I thought it was going to be close. I didn't think the Rockets were going to come out and win. I did think it was going to be a game, but like the way that they came back in the fashion that they did, it was just like, okay, I guess the Rockets are for real. And I'm honestly shocked because I picked Warriors in 6, but like I wouldn't have been surprised if they won it in 5 or even, I mean, a sweep is probably a little far-fetched, but like just for the Rockets to put up that big of a fight after coming back, like I said, in the fashion that they did was nuts. It's with the narrative surrounding Chris Paul and James Harden in the playoffs, for those two guys specifically to lead that try was just like, damn, all right, now we got ourselves a series. Like, these playoffs have stunk. It's just been blowouts.
Yeah.
Because conference finals has just been blowouts. So to have a game like this and to actually make it like a legitimate series, I might have to stay up and watch the whole games from now on.
Yeah, you know, it's always tough watching those West Coast games. So obviously, if you really look at this series, it's a good point you made. The Rockets kind of gave up in game
Yeah, and
fourth
like,
quarter in game 3.
And like it's not a bad thing to say when you're losing and JaVale McGee is shooting threes and Quinn Cook has like 11 points in 5 minutes. Like,
yeah.
Okay, like sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't, and they didn't have it. And it doesn't help that when Steph goes scorched earth on you, like you might as well just pack it up and leave because when that happens, they're unbeatable.
Yeah, and like it's funny because the Warriors gave up in game 2, realistically, in my opinion. I mean, you look at them in game 2, they were a completely different team in game 3, and that's why I was so shocked by this. Like, I didn't think the Andre Iguodala injury would really have as big of an effect as it did. Honestly, I thought in game 4 they were going to come right back out and punch him in the mouth. But I think the biggest story that we're not talking about from this whole thing is the way that I looked at it was, okay, I went back and rewatched the fourth quarter, especially because that's where the Rockets made the run.
Yeah.
Going into the fourth quarter, I think they were down by 10 or something like that.
Yeah, Golden State was on like a 27-8 run.
Yeah, they made a huge run in the third quarter, which notably they are a really good third quarter team. But the biggest thing is like, you look at Kevin Durant. They have the comparisons of Kevin Durant to LeBron. They've been doing it all week. They were doing it last week to LeBron and Jordan. It's always going to be whatever. But the thing is if LeBron had that fourth quarter performance that Kevin Durant had, that would be the storyline today.
Yeah.
But Kevin Durant, I believe it was 7:43 is when he stopped. He didn't make a shot at all. And then with 3:47 left, he didn't even, the remaining 3 minutes and 43 seconds, he didn't even shoot a shot. He didn't even attempt a shot.
I mean, like, it's great. In a bubble, it's easy to compare those two, but like when you take a look at their situations, it's like if LeBron doesn't take a shot for 7 minutes, you're gonna lose by like 50. Yeah. And with Durant, like, he's afforded that luxury of he has Steph Curry, he has Draymond Green, he has Klay Thompson. So like, it doesn't necessarily need to take those shots. Exactly. Obviously, you want probably a top 3, top 2 player in all basketball to have the ball in their hands in a pivotal game like that. But like, yeah, he's not going to receive so much heat simply because of all the players they had. The thing with Iguodala is the Warriors, the knock on them going into this playoffs and mainly throughout the entire season was they don't have a really good bench. And it shows up now in the playoffs when they're having to sub bigs in and you have to play Nick Young a bunch of minutes. And you have to play Kevon Looney and Jordan Bell a bunch of minutes when you don't have Iguodala. And not having Iguodala, his defensive presence, the way that you can run the Hamptons 5 lineup, like, you can just throw that lineup out there and just say, all right, stop us. But like now, without Iguodala, your bench really gets exposed. And he better come back for Game 5.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great point because like you said, Iguodala, he fills in with that second rotation. He can handle the ball. Right. And that is a game changer. And if you look at it, Klay wasn't too involved last night.
He's also something wasn't right with Klay. I know he had the ankle and he rolled his ankle earlier on in the game. But like something definitely wasn't right with Klay. Yeah. And the thing with Steph, I was talking about this with a friend earlier today, not to cut you off, but like,
you're good.
When Steph has great games, he started out bad on Monday or Sunday or whatever. Yeah. And then he went berserk. And then like the narrative switches in game from like, oh, Steph's back, and then like now he has a bad game. It's like, oh, Steph's hurt. It's like star players are allowed to have bad games. Yeah. And it doesn't have to all be thrown on a guy being injured. Like, is Steph 100%? No. Is anybody in the NBA 100% right now? No. Like, all these guys are nicked up. It's a long season, and we're at the tail end of it. So like, can we please just stop with if he has a good game, he's back. If he has a bad game, he's hurt. Just it's a game. Like, exactly. You're gonna have bad games. You're gonna have good games. It is what it is.
Don't use that excuse with LeBron. There's no excuse with no narrative. I feel like.
Well, the thing with LeBron is that he doesn't have bad games.
It's true.
Like that's like he doesn't have bad games. And I was listening to this Ryan.
We had the 15-point game.
Well, here's the thing. It's that like they got blown out. And Ryan Russillo put it well, like, if he wanted to get garbage time points and get, like, garbage 25 points, he could have, but he didn't. He could have. The thing with LeBron is, like, tell me the last time that he had a bad game. It's like he'll have good games and they'll lose, but he never has a game where he goes, like, 4 for 18 for, like, 11 points and like 4 rebounds and 2 assists. Like you never see those games from LeBron.
And this is the stuff that's not being talked about, which is kind of frustrating. And it's funny at the same time because, you know, I guess most of the sports shows like ESPN, for example, Fox Sports, really ESPN really gets a lot of the blame. I guess it's LeBron. But yet when Kevin Durant does wrong, you know, Steph Curry does wrong.
It still goes back to LeBron somehow.
It makes me almost seem like, you know, like for people, I was an only child growing up, but I remember friends telling me the story of like with younger brothers and stuff. The older brother always gets the blame, but
right.
The younger brothers, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the younger brothers are Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. LeBron's the big brother. Steph Curry and Kevin Durant don't get any of the blame for their poor fourth quarter performance, and overall, it wasn't a good game for anyone. I mean, Kevin Durant had 2 terrible shots. I know it's in this highlight. Kevin Durant had 2 absolutely terrible shots in the fourth quarter, and that's where I was like thinking about, oh, okay, I can't wait to see what national media is going to say tomorrow about this.
And it's
hush hush.
It sucks because like it sucks for us as viewers, but like for guys in like the morning shows and ESPNs and whatever media outlets that you go to, the Cavs played a night. So they can always just defer to LeBron. Like ESPN was doing could LeBron beat MJ one-on-one? It's like who gives a shit right now? Like we're in the middle of the conference finals and we're talking about can MJ beat LeBron one-on-one in a game of basketball? Like what point are you trying to make? That's what I don't understand at all. Like there's a much better things to talk about. ESPN is you know, no one likes to go to ESPN anymore. One, because of Twitter, we can get all of our highlights and our news in real time. But like, you need to come up with better topics. What hurts the viewer if, you know, you go in depth on a play and you break it down, or you throw out an interesting tidbit or an interesting stat, or take a different angle on something as opposed to just the low hanging fruit of can LeBron beat Jordan? Is LeBron better than Jordan? It seems like every game on ESPN, it's just like, how does this affect LeBron's legacy? Does this improve his legacy? Does this hurt his legacy? No, it doesn't do any of those things. It's just another game. Like, don't maybe spend a little more time breaking down about how the Warriors lost to the Rockets last night instead of just deferring to, well, LeBron plays tonight. How does this affect his legacy if they lose Game 5? Like, who cares?
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think the biggest thing that we saw today was a lot of people put the blame on Steve Kerr for like not calling a timeout towards the end there.
Draymond tried to get his attention. Clay was right near the ref when he could have. The ref ain't looking back at the coach. Yeah. So like,
and it ended up working out, I guess, in their favor because you know they had 0.5 left and they needed a timeout in that situation. But I think the biggest part to me about those 2, I guess, last remaining 30 seconds or so was the fact that, okay, don't blame it on Steve Kerr for not calling timeout. Yes, I was one to first say, okay, I think Steve Kerr should have called timeout there. But if you go back and look at it, Kevin Durant gets the ball there. First of all, you have Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, you have Steph Curry on the floor, even Draymond. Why do you need what more possibly could you draw up? And you have the Rockets who are off guard. They're not in a defensive set. Yeah. And you have them switch. Kevin Durant had I forgot who was on him, but it was like a 6'5", somebody on him. But they were you're not getting, and then Durant passes it off in the corner.
Well, the thing is, like, it's in those kind of situations, if it works, we're not questioning him not calling a timeout.
Yeah.
Because it didn't work, we got to, deflect on it. We should have called a timeout. Mm-hmm. This person should have called a timeout. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm a big proponent of just letting guys play it out. And because sometimes when hectic things like that happen, like, you get an easy bucket. Or a guy on the team misses a defensive assignment and you get an easy bucket. So, like, if you give him time to set up a play and whatnot, like, one, it takes you out of your rhythm, and two, like I said, it gives them time to set up and stop you.
No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, guys, we're going to go jump into the Celtics. Cavs.
Let's do it.
Game 5 tonight.
It is tonight.
8:30. For those of you that don't know that it's going on, Greg, I'll let you go first. What's your take on this series so far?
Well, Game 3 was the most predictable thing I think that we've seen all playoffs. LeBron down 2-0.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone doubted LeBron in Game 3, like you're a fool. The Celtics in Cleveland, though, it was like almost a complete 180 from where they were in Boston, and you can attribute that to them being young. Does Stevens get some of the blame? Maybe, but they were doing Game 4. They were doing a lot of switching when they didn't need to. Like they'd have Jalen on LeBron and Rozier on Hill, and they just get him in a pick and roll, and Terry would switch onto LeBron, which is just an easy bucket for LeBron every time. And on offense, the Celtics have gone from this run the offense, run the plays through to trying to just make things happen, and it's not working out. And I know they missed 3 dunks in the first quarter, which is absolutely backbreaking. They got to the rim a lot. They just weren't making their shots, which you like to see. But they played better in the 3 quarters to end the game on Monday. I have all my days screwed up, but to win tonight, they need to go back to, okay, let's run the offense, let's make things happen, let's not try to force the issue, let's go back to what we did in Game 1 and Game 2. LeBron's going to get his. This is playoff LeBron. It's one of the most fun things to watch in sports, whether you like LeBron, whether you hate LeBron. Playoff LeBron, and when he wants to do his thing, he's going to do his thing. It's going to be tough, though, because the Cavs role players are finally stepping up. George Hill's playing well out of nowhere. Kyle Korver's hitting everything under the sun.
And playing decent defense.
Yeah, he blocked Juice 4 times in last game.
Crazy.
It was nuts. I'm probably going to take the Celtics tonight because they haven't lost at home in the playoffs, and it's very hard to bet against that right now.
Yeah, can't.
But against LeBron, I think it's gonna be close. It's not gonna be a blowout. Which means it's gonna be a blowout because I said it was gonna be close.
This is the first game, I think, where I'm looking at Boston, with the exception, I guess, of the Milwaukee series, because I really did think Milwaukee would have handled Boston. But after that, going forward, I think this is the first game where I'm looking at Boston at home, and I'm saying, I don't know. I'm kind of torn, but it brings you, ultimately, I'll give you my decision in a second. I'm going to make you wait, a little cliffhanger. But I think the way that Cleveland's played played at home these last 2 games, notably they play pretty well at home. The role players usually play well at home. Jarrett plays well at home, but they looked like a team that swept the Raptors, and they looked like a team that maybe finally turned that corner. They're all playing defense well as a unit. LeBron obviously is always going to perform, like we've been saying this whole show. But I think ultimately Boston at home, the narrative's kind of changed now. It went from Brad Stevens being a genius the first 2 games. Even in Game 3, they were still saying Brad Stevens. But now it's okay, Brad Stevens isn't that genius anymore. He can't switch up. He can't get his players involved like they should be. He can only create 1 play for Jason Tatum, which is on the free throw line, which is bogus, this and that, whatever. But I think ultimately tonight Boston will prevail. They'll win this game. I think LeBron's going to go off. But I think we're going to see those role players. I think this is really what's going to happen. It's going to depend on what happens in the first quarter. I think if Korver can't find a rhythm and JR can't find the rhythm, and Kevin Love struggles early, I really think these role players are going to lose confidence quickly because they don't have the home crowd backing them up.
Yeah, and to your point of Cleveland looks like they're in the games 3 and 4. It looked like they stepped on the throats of the Celtics.
Yeah.
There were some points in that game where it was how is this even a playoff series? How is this an Eastern Conference Final series? And that's not taking away anything from Boston. It just looked like the Cavs they're like that 35-year-old dude at the Y who once he wants to play basketball, he's got that old man strength, that old man muscle memory, and that old man knowledge of basketball to just he can guard younger guys and he can play against younger guys, and that's what it seemed like. It seemed like Boston was playing on their heels, and they didn't have that confidence, which, is to be expected from a young team on the road. They feed off the home crowd. Obviously, in games 1 and 2, they took care of business. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Cleveland responds going back on the road into Boston, where, they should have won Game 2. They were up by double digits, and then lost by double digits. They're also not going to get the home calls because there's been some atrocious calls. And I'm not saying it's tailored. It's tailored one way. There's just been some atrocious calls. I didn't realize until now, how much LeBron calls, like how much calls he gets. Because there was a play in Game 3 where he literally like stiff arms Juice, like running down the lane, stiff armed him. Juice goes flying, and they call the defensive foul. And I was like, how is that even possible? That's probably a penalty in the NFL. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like it's funny you bring up the calls because that Marcus Morris call was so controversial, and you still go back and look at it. Okay, it's whatever. It's the Reggie Miller rule, this and that, but that was a terrible call, I think.
But
and the ball was still in the air. I think he still got with the continuation rule. I don't know the exact rule for an offensive foul off the top of my head with that, but I think that was just there were some questionable calls.
Yeah, and but the thing is like it didn't impact the game.
Yeah.
Like it didn't not impact the game. It didn't impact the outcome. Like Boston was still going to lose. The Cavs were still going to win.
Yeah.
It's just something else.
The Boston did recover. I think that was definitely a big momentum shifter, to say the least, but I think ultimately it was a momentum shifter. I think that play, but I think as far as it affecting the outcome, I mean, like, we saw Twitter take over, like, oh, the rig is on, WWE, Vince McMahon hiding in the rafters.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what? Don't get down by 16 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Like, that's how these things don't affect you. Like,
exactly, and that's how this Boston team's played this series, though. If you look at it, I believe, what was it, Game 2,
they were down double digits.
Yeah. But they were at home, they came back. They're young. People, I think, are forgetting in their again, I don't want to defend Brad Stevens, but I'm going to. I mean, he's coaching a very young team and a team that has players on the team that have age, like Al Horford, are like a glorified role player.
Yeah,
you know
I mean,
like,
you're without your two best players. Your two, Kyrie.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really count out Hayward because he played all 5 minutes, but, like, you're without your best player in Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
And that sucks going up against LeBron. But it's easy to criticize Stevens after 2 losses on the road. So, like, criticize his genius or whatever you want. Like, he can, if he wins tonight, it erases all of that. So,
like, Brad Stevens, I don't think people understand. Brad Stevens is facing the best player in the NBA right now. If he goes, LeBron James can go on any team and fit into their system and play well and ultimately improve that team drastically. He can go to any one of the bottom feeders, any one of the NBA ladder teams, and make them an instant playoff success.
Yeah.
That's who Brad Stevens is facing. He's facing them with young players, and also the point I always bring up too is look at where Isaiah Thomas was at with the Celtics. He received MVP votes. You take him to Cleveland. I get it. We obviously don't know the severity of the injury, but you take him to Cleveland, whatever.
Yeah, the hip was a huge.
Then you go to Los Angeles, where he was healthy in Los Angeles, but we saw spurts of it, but you never saw the consistent Isaiah Thomas, Brad Stevens type situation. And I cannot wait, and this is coming from a Lakers fan, I cannot wait to see what Brad Stevens does with a fully healthy team next year.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting for sure next year.
But yeah, and then just to wrap it up, I mean, I'm going Celtics.
Yeah, I'm taking Celtics.
Celtics. I think the thing is with me is with the Celtics is you look at this. I always look at the spread obviously before I bet, but like what I mean by look at the spread, like I look into it, like okay, what should the spread really be? Okay, Cleveland, two big home wins. The spread should really be. I mean, like you look at. The Celtics blew out the Cavs in the first 2 games. They came back to Cleveland. I believe they were getting 6.5 points. Okay, well, Cleveland just beat the piss out of the Cavs in they beat the brakes off the Celtics in Game 3 and Game 4. They had the game the whole time.
What's the line tonight?
I believe the line's I think it moved up to 1 now, but it was pick to start. It opened at pick.
That's fair.
Which is, in my mind, okay, this line seems a little fishy to me. Even though both of these teams handle their business at home, but I think coming back to Boston, it just seems like Boston should be a 3-point spread, like -3 Boston. I think. So that's why Vegas really only botched 1 series this year, and it was the Toronto-Cleveland series. Other than that, they've been spot on in this playoffs, and Vegas doesn't lose often, so that's why I would go Celtics. And because Celtics are at home, they play better at home. Like you said, they're undefeated at home. So there's other factors in there that really makes me come full force. And I'm going Celtics.
Yeah, same.
But, yeah, let's just jump down here to some NFL news.
Yeah, this is...
Some NFL news and notes. Greg, where would you like to start off at?
I think we have to talk about
Yes. We'll start.
what happened today.
Yeah.
The NFL anthem
Yeah.
policies. They're stupid, honestly.
Yeah.
Like it was floated out there that there could be a 15-yard penalty for protesting the
This is
anthem.
ridiculous.
I saw an article today. Rooney, I think he's the Steelers. I'm not sure. I don't really care who he is, but he said that guys locking arms during the anthem is a sign of protest, and it's just like, I mean, we're never gonna escape it as long as it's these old white guys owning these teams.
Yeah.
But like, just take a book out of the NBA. Like, the NBA's doing it all right.
Mm-hmm.
Just let the guys do it. Like, let the guys do what they want.
Yeah.
And I mean, the NFL can just, like, they didn't consult with the NFLPA on this, but like, there's no reason to, because it's supposed to be a protest, and it's people that say it's protesting the anthem. It's not. It's protesting during the anthem.
Yeah.
So like, it's two completely different things. And people that are saying, well, it's protesting troops. Well, how come, 95% of the stories that we see of guys talking to troops about this and troops saying they may not agree with what they're doing, but they fight for the freedom that allows these guys to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So like, let's just get that off the table right now, because there's been so many arguments, and it's been out there for so long that people are still this dumb to think that these protests are about the national anthem and about the flag. It's two completely separate things, and that's just not what it is right now. I mean, you want to say everyone can stay in the locker rooms, whatever. Like, it doesn't do much of anything, because there's still going to be some guys that don't agree with that. And the NFL, once again, just royally screws things up when they had the chance to actually do something well. But that does not shock me that the NFL did something like this.
Yeah, and ultimately, I look at it like it's just, it's good. It's a good point that you made there with the NBA scenario, because you don't see any of these guys protesting. They all stand. The biggest.
Well, the thing with the NBA is that they're not, like, if a guy wanted to have his own form of protest, Adam Silver's not going to be like, the guy's not going to be chastised.
Yeah.
And like, the NBA gets it right. Like, they're very, what's the word? Forward thinking on these social issues. Like, we have coaches
and they
commenting
address
on
them immediately.
Exactly. They don't let it linger, and they don't do these like shady moves of stuff. Like, coaches are actively speaking out on it, and
Yep.
there's some backlash, but it's not as bad as the NFL. I mean, I get it. The NFL is huge and probably bigger than the NBA in the United States, but like,
Exactly.
I don't know, man. It doesn't.
The biggest problem I have with this issue is, you look back, I forgot the exact date, but I believe it's when the NFL from the beginning never used to start with the national anthem.
No.
It came in, if you do your research and get on Google, but don't close the stream because
No.
you're watching us. But
Put an
open a tab, listen while you're Googling.
Yeah.
But if you look it up, the NFL and then the national anthem became a thing once the NFL started getting paid for it. So the whole thing with this is last year NFL ratings were down. Were they down because of the national anthem?
No.
Some people say yes, some people say no, but I don't think so at all. I think honestly, and the NFL is trying to put that as a point to blame that. So they're addressing the issue now by coming out with this rule, and that's where I have a problem with it. Just because you guys are losing money doesn't mean you have to go pick the biggest social issue out there and address it. You're having.
The thing that the NFL is doing is, because it's a privately owned business, they can make these kind of rules and say, well, it's bad for business by losing, I guess, the viewership and the ratings or whatever. Like, they can use that as a tool of saying, well, this is bad for business. Well, like, there's a couple of things that factor into the viewership, at least from my perspective, is we had shitty football last year. Like,
yeah, it wasn't that.
A majority of the season, like, it was just bad football. Like, we were starting guys like Brock Osweiler, and like, we were starting like just bad quarterbacks, and no one wants to see bad quarterback play. Mm-hmm. 2, people aren't just using the traditional television to watch football now. Like streaming, illegally streaming.
Yeah.
Using different
Those
outlets.
views don't get counted.
No, like using a phone, using a tablet, using a laptop. Those things don't get counted. Like if we included all those things, I'm fairly certain.
Would be up.
Yeah, and like if you look at like the top viewed just events, like the NFL is very prominent in those.
Yeah.
So like, okay, you want to say viewership's down? Like, let's put a better product on the field. I think it's going to be a better product this season, but I don't know, man.
I think, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Cowboys fan either, but I think the NFL needs. I mean, it's too late now, but they needed to look at a new commissioner. I was really open to that, and
now, as long as Goodell's making the money, they're going to keep him in there.
Exactly,
which sucks.
And I think some of the things that you go back to saying they didn't have a great product last year, and I think some of the stuff that it was. I mean, you got to look at it. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was injured. That screwed up the whole. Injuries played a big role in why the NFL season was, 1, a big shakeup last year. 2, you saw the NFL playoffs were completely different, and you're going to see teams that aren't even going to get close to making it because Rodgers is going to be back. Ezekiel Elliott is going to be suspended for something that he didn't do.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting last season. You had guys like Josh McCown, Jay Cutler, Deshaun Kaiser, like Joe Flacco, like all of these guys that are starting games. Eli,
yeah,
I don't know, man.
Like, for instance, now, and I don't want to bash the Tennessee Titans because now I think they'll be a playoff team going forward now. But last year, if Andrew Luck is healthy, they don't make the.
You're starting.
And we won't even say Andrew Luck, I guess. If Deshaun Watson doesn't get hurt, the Tennessee Titans don't make the playoffs. But I think one of the best games I saw as far as the playoffs went was that wild card game between the Titans and the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not displeased with that at all. But just to prove my point of the NFL, prove our point, I guess, is that the ratings weren't down because of the national anthem and because Kaepernick didn't want to stand and made so everyone else didn't want to stand anymore.
Shout out to all those people that said we're gonna protest watching the NFL. You bunch of losers.
Yeah, more streamers started streaming. You guys probably stream it too.
Like,
you know what I mean? So,
there were people on New York sports radio, which I listen to a lot, saying I've been a Giants fan since so and so, and I'm boycotting the NFL now. It's like, what are you gonna do on your Sunday afternoon then? Tell me, are you gonna go for a run? No, you're gonna sit inside. You're still gonna watch football. Just shut up.
He's sitting there just. Swiping to refresh his feed to see what the scores are.
Dude, shut up! You're not gonna protest that.
Don't give me that.
Just watch the game.
Yeah, he was streaming it 100%.
And the thing with did anyone care about they didn't even broadcast the national anthem before last year. If I recall, no one cared.
No one saw the national anthem.
No one was clamoring we need to see the national anthem.
Yeah.
And, now guys are kneeling and you put an emphasis on it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with them kneeling. I honestly that's fine. I'd rather them do that than
sit in the locker room.
Yeah, I don't even care. Just do whatever protest you want as long as you're not hurting people or killing people.
Yeah.
But now that you put an emphasis on it and it's just become so in your face.
Yeah.
And it's just and the fact that they're totally missing the point of the protests is what bothers me.
That's the thing, and they're kind of just sweeping on the rug, and that's the difference between Adam Silver and Roger Goodell. Is I could see Adam Silver coming out and addressing
being very proactive about it, and except for Goodell, who just sits back and waits for things to that's essentially what he's been doing this whole time as commissioner. The whole Ray Rice story.
Yeah.
Everything just takes forever, and I get it.
Some of that's
I get some of that's due to the court systems and all of that, but it's just everything just gets.
Well, it wouldn't even went that far if it wasn't for Goodell. I don't remember before Goodell. I don't remember anybody going to the courts to.
Everything's in the court
to go first to try to get rid of a suspension.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Whatever.
So it's crazy stuff. But I mean, moving on because we could sit here and talk about how bad Goodell is all day. But I mean, let's go to some more NFL news and notes. I think here, let's start with the Tom Brady situation here.
This is the moment. We should spend 30 seconds on this and no more. Brady's playing. He's going to be at mandatory minicamp. This is voluntary OTAs. If you get worked up about somebody not showing up for a voluntary thing, you are an idiot. That's all. That's all there needs to be said. He's going to play this year.
See,
Don't tell me you don't.
No. I'm not saying the reason why this is a big deal to me is because if you go back and look at, listen, people skip OTAs all the time.
All the time.
Because of contract negotiations, whatever, or just because they don't want to do it anymore because they're old. You know, it's voluntary. They've been there for years.
Yeah.
But the way that I look at it this year is, and if you go back and look at it, Tom Brady always emphasized how important OTAs were. This is the first year he's ever skipped OTAs, to my knowledge. You look at it, Derek Carr is at OTAs, Dak Prescott's at OTAs, Aaron Rodgers is at OTAs, Big Ben's at OTAs. All the elite quarterbacks are OTAs, which, listen, I get it. It's voluntary. But the reason why I'm bringing this to light and why, I think it's not really a big issue, but the reason why I want to talk about it is because I think there's definitely a problem between Belichick and Brady.
Yeah, I mean, when there's smoke, there's fire. I don't think everything.
There's definitely a problem between.
I don't think everything is flowers and rainbows over in New England, but
he's gonna play though. He's not.
I don't until skipping voluntary OTAs. If this were to go into minicamp and he were to miss that, which is mandatory, then you raise your eyebrow a little bit. But for this, no, I'm not.
And I'm not saying this because this is the picture that we're featuring, but it's the Josh McDaniels situation. It was pretty funny. It was I don't really think.
Oh, I love Brady just yelling at people. It's the funniest thing. When he gets mad.
Yeah, but I think. Don't you find it kind of interesting how that Josh McDaniels situation played out? He was going to become a head coach, and then all of a sudden now he's back.
I just think he was smart, and he was like, I'm going to the Colts. Why would I do such a thing when I'm the offensive? Ride this Brady train as long as you can.
I think it was part of that, but then I think at the same time too, obviously the ESPN story caught legs by that time. It was a big factor, following everything. But I think what happened was and I don't have any sort of information on this. It's just me just thinking of what I think happened. I think Robert Kraft or somebody from ownership came down, had the discussion with McDaniels, because I think McDaniels is the peacekeeper between Belichick and Brady. Obviously, they've all had their discrepancies. They've all had their arguments before, like anybody. But I think the reason why McDaniels is back in New England and why he's not coaching, it could be that he didn't want to go to the Colts, but he went through all that process. Why go through that if you don't want to?
Sometimes you get cold feet about that stuff, and you realize how good if it's the grass isn't always greener.
Which could be the case.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think there part of it might have been someone came to him and told him, and I wouldn't be surprised if it came out. Somebody came to him and said, listen, we need you here to be the kind of mediator until things cool down or can maybe get better. And that's why I think that could be part of the reason why McDaniels is back. Obviously, like I said, I don't know for sure of what went down there, but like I said, like we both just said, Tom Brady will be there come week 1, but this might become a story later on if they go 10-6, losing the first round of the playoffs, which I don't see happening either because.
They still have the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Bills in their division.
The Jets and Bills are both starting rookie quarterbacks probably, and then the Dolphins always have some sort of problem.
I want to see him play week 1. He's
they always have so many problems. Yeah. So they're gonna take the division.
Yeah,
they're gonna you know what I mean, and they'll be in line for home field advantage.
Exactly. We're all gonna look back and be like, oh, we were dumb once again. The people that are like, oh, it's just a real issue. No, it's not a real issue. They're gonna go 12-4.
Yeah,
they're gonna go 13-3. They're probably going to be in the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah. The way I look at the AFC, it goes Patriots, Steelers.
I think it's Patriots, Gap, Steelers.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a gap.
Yeah.
I think it was Patriots, Gap, Steelers, and I would have threw the Chargers in there before the Hunter.
I want to see the Chargers do something. Every year, seems like.
I think they've addressed some of the issues.
Because it just seems like
I'm excited to see
the Chargers. Just every year, we get pumped up. Be like, oh, this is the Chargers year, sleeper team, and then start out 0-5.
Well, they can't take themselves. They would have 2 or 3 more wins if they had a field goal kicker.
Yeah,
which would have.
But it's so Chargers though.
It is.
It's such a Chargers thing to happen.
It is. It's Chargers.
Yeah.
Our next topic here I want to bring up is the Cliff Averill situation. There's no situation on Cliff Averill. But Cliff Averill was on the Herd today, and he started talking about, we're going to bring it up. This player right here, I'm sure you guys all recognize it. Oh, Malcolm
Wow, I've
Butler.
never seen that play before.
Super Bowl.
This is
Picked it off.
This is the first time I've ever seen this
Yeah,
play.
it was the first time. He brought up today saying, because Colin Cowherd asked him sort of about that play, and you look at the Seahawks after that situation, they haven't made it past the divisional round since 2014. The year before they beat the Broncos, that year they make it all the way to presumably beat the Patriots. It was the layup play, give the ball to Marshawn Lynch, and you're in. So he asked Cliff Averill his breakdown of that situation and if he was right. And Cliff Averill said, yeah. I mean, that play was kind of, I don't want to say the turning point for the franchise, but if you look at it, they haven't made it to the divisional round since then. You look at the following year where Lynch was hurt. They thought he was going to be ready for the Vikings, which they won 10-9. But then they come and play Carolina where he's fully healthy. They get absolutely mollywopped.
Well, they came back in that game.
He only had 6 carries.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't look effective, and I think I don't want to say like Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll are kind of ruining the team, but I mean they gave away Bennett for a peck of gum.
Yeah,
he can still play.
But
he's still a force.
Some of that is, I mean I've read like a complete breakdown of that play and like. Not to get all like football X's and O's, but like the way that the Patriots came out and their defensive personnel they had on the field, like it was a total run heavy set.
Yeah.
If Wilson doesn't make that throw, Lynch is wide open in the end zone. Just from listening to Matt Patricia talk about that play, if Lynch just runs a swing route, like he's in the end zone for a touchdown, and that's a 1 in 1,000 chance that Browner breaks on that ball and forces the interception to Butler on it. But yeah, I can like when you're that close to a Super Bowl and what may seem painfully obvious in giving the ball to Lynch, who is the type of running back that has carried you to essentially 2 Super Bowls.
Exactly.
And to not give him the ball there, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I mean, because
easily breaking a team, and like there had to have been some problems before that because it doesn't just change on one play.
Yeah, you don't change your culture on one play.
On one play, like
in the Super Bowl,
everything's cool because like Russ was winning, but like you heard guys like there was that chatter of he's too rah-rah, he's too like he's not like the alphas on the team. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it certainly attributes to what has happened. Guys getting older, injuries. This isn't the Seattle. Obviously, isn't the Seattle team that the LOB years. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they were cursed. It's just the way of sports. Like sometimes things don't break your way and everything falls. It's just why you have to take advantage of your situation when you're in it.
Yeah, and we're not like reading in between the lines or anything like that. We're pretty much stating the obvious. And to your point, the way I think Seattle tried to force the franchise on the shoulder of Russell Wilson a little bit too early. I mean, now it needs to be him, but
and the fact of I could see you, the way that their team is structured was you weren't paying anybody.
Yeah.
Like before the Wilson contract, it was perfect, which is exactly what you aim to do. Is you have your franchise quarterback on a rookie deal. You're not paying the secondary a ton of money. You're not paying all these defensive guys a ton of money. And then when Russ makes it to 2 Super Bowls and you're forced to pay him the amount of money that he's earned, it puts a stress on the rest of the team and the front office and how do we get these guys deals. And guys don't want their money shortened. So there's a lot of factors that play into it. But
yeah, I certainly agree with that. And yeah, I mean, we'll see kind of where it goes from there. But I think it was just an interesting tidbit by Cliff because, he's still in the organization and like to your point, he said, Russell Wilson's still not that vocal leader, and they were like a smash mouth football team. They had the very vocal defense. They were in the locker room. Marshawn Lynch was like that vocal guy on offense. He was their go-to guy. And listen, that play, if Malcolm Butler doesn't pull off an incredible interception, that looks like a great play, great drop by Seattle, and we move on.
Right. It's the same thing with Stevens. Like if it works, or the same thing with Kerr. Like he didn't call the timeout and it didn't work. Like if they scored and he didn't call a timeout, we wouldn't have been questioning it. If Seattle scored, we wouldn't have been questioning it.
Exactly.
Like, revisionist history, but let's move on.
My next topic here, I want to talk about the Cleveland Browns and Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do here if you're Cleveland? Because Tyrod pretty much says in this interview here that he doesn't want anything to do, not really anything to do with Baker Mayfield, but pretty much just says he's not worried about Baker.
No, and
he doesn't even mention his name. It shouldn't be.
And he shouldn't be. I mean, he's proved that he should be the starting quarterback right now. If I'm the Browns, you really have to go into camp with an open mind and be like, it's an open competition. If Baker outplays Tyrod, you take the names off of who these guys are, and you just see who plays better. Like Tyrod has obviously shown that he's an NFL starting quarterback, or a quality NFL starting quarterback quality. If Baker comes in and he wows people and he wins the starting job, then so be it. Like it's not going to be a perfect situation, like a New England or like a Green Bay, like with these franchise guys. Like Tyrod's he's not a franchise quarterback. You draft Baker Mayfield number 1 with the hopes that he can come in day 1 and be your starter. And if he can't, he can't. Like you're the Browns. Your sights shouldn't be set on the playoffs this year. It should be about improving. And I think you go into camp, you see who gives you the best chance to win based off the preseason, based off the camp. You give Baker Mayfield an actual, like, real shot to win the job and see where it goes.
Yeah. Kind of going to the whole Tyrod situation here. I think you brought Tyrod in, like you said. You brought Tyrod in for one reason.
He's a bridge quarterback. Yeah, he's not your franchise guy.
You brought him in to win, and you go with it. I think Tyrod's that player that he doesn't turn the ball over, but he doesn't win any games. He lets your defense rely on it. Lets other players kind of get involved, and I really can't see him. Can't see really any quarterback messing up when you have Josh Gordon and Jarvis Landry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I mean, they surrounded whoever's playing quarterback with weapons. So, yeah, I think like if you draft a rookie quarterback, I am inclined to start him week 1 just because he's going to have growing pains. You might as well get those out of the way now as opposed to in year 2 or year 3. I don't think sitting him on the bench really does much for him. You start him day 1. You go through your growing pains. Like I said, you're the freaking Cleveland Browns. Like, you're not this team that's come off like a Super Bowl and you need to get back. Like you've won 1 game in the past 2 years.
Well, guys, to our closing notes here, we're having a little bit of camera difficulties, so we're gonna
Is it my white legs?
It might be, so you can hear
my
our
white
voice.
thighs.
You can hear our voices.
You can't see my white thighs anymore, unfortunately.
But we'll kind of close it, wrap it up here with
the 2 greatest words in sports. Game 7.
Yes.
Who do you like tonight?
I'm gonna keep it quick, simple. I'm gonna go with Alexander Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals.
Same.
That was easy.
My best friend's team is the Lightning, and I don't like to see my friends' teams have success, just because I get mad that my teams don't have success. So yeah, I'm taking the Caps. Caps here, baby.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Guys, thanks for tuning in to DYST Live. Make sure to follow myself and Greg on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep you guys updated throughout the week with different tweets. Obviously, we always keep it live and funny, especially you. You definitely...
I like to bring the comedy
Greg's like the Joel Embiid of Twitter. Like
that's a lofty. Jesus, Mike. Now I got a reputation
the non-athlete. Like,
wow, I'm a non-athlete now. Jesus, Mike.
Not like a professional athlete.
Good Lord.
I should have said there.
Good Lord, just roast me.
But yeah,
you can't see it now. I actually have my hand around Mike's neck. Luckily the camera's not on.
So yeah, guys, we'll be back next.
He's turned purple. Somebody come save him.
We'll be back next Wednesday with cameras for the whole show.
Hopefully Mike is breathing by next Wednesday.
On that note, guys, we'll see you next Tuesday. I mean Wednesday.
Peace out.